miles of shoreline. It's also a very deep lake. The deepest part of this lake is 185 feet deep. Current water temperature is 68 degrees on the surface, and we're at an altitude of 5,106 feet, almost a mile above sea level. So welcome to the club. These condominiums are called the Edgewater Shores condos. Most of them are 3 stories high, built in the early 1970s, and back then they were selling for $40,000. Now they go for just under $2 million. And I sure wish I bought one. Might not be driving a boat today. Back when I had a real job, I did some work for a fellow. He lived in the middle one. You see a green kayak under the balcony. His name was Axel Rose of Guns N' Roses. He was an interesting character. The whole bottom floor there was painted dark purple. He had purple paisley drapes, purple carpet, even a pool table. And when he would open the door, he would say, "Welcome to the jungle." We got fun and games. Back in the late 1800s, before this was a lake, it was a valley covered in trees. Some Mormon loggers came up here to log out those trees, and while they were here, they planted an apple orchard right in this area. We now call that Orchard Bay. If you look in the back of Orchard Bay, you see some little trees there. That's part of the original apple orchard. Those trees are over 125 years old, and they still bear fruit. Now those are crab apple trees, and the fruit on the crab apple tree is kind of small and tart, and makes great pies, just like my wife. Well, she's small and makes great pies. And used to work on Lake Patrol, we have a different name for that bay. We call it Bat Bay, because right around sunset there are thousands of bats over there. We like bats. Bats are good. They eat bugs like mosquitoes. And they're all over the pond. So if you're here at sunset and you see a little black bird that can't fly straight, you're probably looking at a bat. There are a lot of docks here. About 2,300 docks in Lake Arrowhead. 2,600 boats registered to the lake. And that makes this one of the most crowded lakes in the world during the summer. In the winter time, most people take their boats out of the water. Because when it snows, if you don't run down and shovel the snow off your boat, the weight of the snow can sink your boat. And then you have submarine. Oops. This house here between the trees with brown roof and white trim, that belonged to Doris Day. Y'all remember her? She sings, "Que sera, sera." She was a year-round resident here for about 30 years, and then she moved to Carmel. She said the winters were getting difficult for her because we typically get between 4 and 6 feet of snow here each year. That big cream-colored house with a multi-level roof belonged to Sammy Hagar, and he was the lead singer for Van Halen. He also owned Cabo Wabo Tequila and the Cabo Wabo restaurant chain. He sold that house 2 years ago for $3.9 million. The big White House there, that was just built by a Hollywood lawyer. That house is 9,000 square feet, and it took 6 years to construct. That little beach you see there, we call that Bob's Beach. There used to be a fellow, he lived right above Bob's Beach, and every morning he would rake the beach. Anyone want to try and guess what his name was? Bob, very good. We're not real creative up here. And we do have a lot of pine trees. There's many different kinds of pine tree. That really tall one right there is called a culture pine. And culture pines have the largest pine cones in the world. Culture pine cones as much as 8 pounds. Locals here, we call these widowmakers. Sure you can understand why, right? Now I'm gonna pass this around so everyone gets a good look at it. Oh, and real They're fun. The White House with the black shutters, that belonged to Michelle Kwan, 3-time Olympic gold medal winner in figure skating. And if you look above the house back there with 3 chimneys, you see a black roof up there with no walls. That's a carport where they park their cars. And that means a little less shoveling in the winter when it snows. You see, when it snows here, if you want to go somewhere, you need a few hours to get ready. Because you have to shovel the walkway, the driveway, the urn with the plow left. Maybe even put chains on your car. Follow the mile to the village for a quart of milk. It's an adventure, but we enjoy it. This White House with the black roof, that belonged to Shirley Temple. Aww. Usually they're actually Take a look at that tan house next door. It's getting some new decks. That house there has 168 stairs to go from the back door to the dock. Could you imagine you're playing a day on the boat? You got the cooler, the kids, all the way down to the boat, and you realize you forgot the keys. Well, that's when you really appreciate having children. The little building here with the yellow paint out front, that's a pump house. Those 3 pipes go down into the water about 130 feet, and we draw the water out of the lake for domestic water use. In other words, everyone here in Lake Arrowhead, we get Arrowhead water right out of the faucet. But you see this stuff here, it says Arrowhead on it. It doesn't come from here. No, it comes from a spring in Running Springs. Or imagine a guy with a garden hose filling these up. Right here is the dam, and you can see some cars parked on top of it. They started building that dam in 1902, completed it in 1922, and then it took 16 years for the lake to fill with water, because all of this water is from rain and snow melt. Now, back in 1971, there was a really big earthquake in the San Fernando Valley called the Silmarquake, and that cracked the Van Norman Dam right above the valley. Ever since then, state dam inspectors have been checking dams for earthquake safety. They got to our dam in 1972, and they said it's not safe, and it won't survive a big earthquake. So they told the owners of the lake, at that time it was Boise Cascade, that they need to lower the lake level by 75 feet, or repair the dam. Well, Boise Cascade didn't want to spend millions of dollars on a dam. But the homeowners around the lake, they didn't want their property values to plummet. So the homeowners got together and they bought the lake from Boise Cascade, making it a private lake for only $273,000. I know that sounds like a great deal, doesn't it? But we also had to raise $8 million to build another dam. We built that dam 100 yards downstream from this one, filled the area between the dams with water, and that took all the pressure off the old dam. And if both dams break, hold on. We'll be down in Apple Valley in about 5 minutes, along with 15.8 billion gallons of water. Over here behind that red fireboat is our launch ramp, and that's where people launch and recover their boats. That is a great source of entertainment on weekends. Starbucks really good at launching boats. The big building there that says Lake Arrowhead is a boat storage building. When you want to store your boat there, you drive it underneath the building, and a crane will pick up your boat, put it up on a shelf. That building is 5 stories high of boat shelves, and it holds 250 boats. Kind of looks like a boat this park coming up here on top of the peninsula? Okay, I'm going to give you another chance. Does anyone want to try and guess what we call that park on the peninsula? Yeah, Bob's smart. Very good. 1 minute. No, it's peninsula. There's one in every That house right above the park, about 10 years ago, it sold for $5.3 million. See how the back side of that house is all windows? Well, take a look at their view. They have a $4.3 million view of the lake. And the other $1 million, it's in their driveway. Their driveway is heated and can be activated by remote control. So if they're driving up the mountain and it starts to snow, they just pull out their cell phone, call their driveway and turn it on. They don't have to shovel. Me, I don't have that app on my phone. No, I do it the old-fashioned way. I ask all the neighborhood kids, do you want to build a snowman? Really big. And there's another picture on the back. We're going to go around the other direction this time. Oh, and see in this picture, well, she's kind of small and makes great pies.
Now
the green-colored house there is where they filmed the
自己
movie.
開嗰啲係咪差唔多百幾蚊啊？
With Rock Hudson and Jane Wyman.
呢間好大啦嘛，係咯，啱啊，影下嗰間我哋嘅 gym house。
但係睇好似1
I love this backyard coming up here. See, there's a couple of white gazebos hidden in the trees. There's also a babbling broken up putting green, and that belonged to Eric LaSalle, one of the doctors on the series ER, with George Clooney in the game.
我想好似我朋友個
If you look up on the hill right in front of us, you'll see some grass and a glass roofed atrium. That's where Marilyn Monroe spent her summers. And that house is for sale now for only $12 million.
我一個喺下邊，一個喺上邊。
咁奇怪，咁多 kitchen 喺度做咩？你邊個朋友啊？